He's not trying to pen pal you for 6.5 years. This is not locked up abroad. This is not love after lockup. We talk for a little bit and then we were going to pivot to meet in person. Now we explain why.
That is my show.
Now it explains why.
I love it. I would never pin a prisoner. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of According to Blake. Today, I am joined by a woman of many hats and many talents. She is a matchmaker, a wife, a host, a TV commentator, a TV personality. We could go on all day. However, we will be focusing on her expertise in the love and relationships category. I am so excited to have on the pod today, Devyn Simone, Tinder's resident relationship expert.
Hey, girl. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Let's jump into it because the dating pool has piss in it and the girls are stressed. And hopefully you can answer so many of the questions that we talk about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kick it off, though, with the apps.
Right.
Because that seems to be the way that most of us are meeting men because we're not meeting them in the wild like we used to.
Right.
You work with Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
Which historically, when you say Tinder now, people are like, oh, that's the hookup app. Like,
no,
you only get on Tinder if you want to hook up.
Which is literally the biggest misconception ever. It's such a big misconception. We've done surveys. The vast majority of people utilizing Tinder actually are looking for something serious. It's the largest dating app in the world. It's the pioneer. It was the first to do it. So I think it gets a lot of blowback from other things and also from people just not necessarily being good at dating.
So I've been told that I'm bad at dating.
Okay.
For a myriad of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I don't date often. I am easily jaded by dating.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I'm always like, oh, I hate it. I was having this conversation with my best friend last night because I have a date tonight. And I was like, I'm not excited. Like, I'm over dating. I've had such bad dating experiences. She's like, what dating experiences? Like, what? What are you even talking about? So what is a bad dater?
A bad dater, and just to clarify too, so 69% of singles on Tinder say they're looking for something serious. So it is what you make of it. I met my husband on an app. Jason Kelce met his wife, Travis Kelce's brother, on Tinder. Like millions of people literally have matched.
I do know
Tinder.
people that have met their mate on Tinder.
Yeah, it totally works. Now, I'm not negating that there aren't bad experiences. They certainly happen. But I think it's just like there are bad drivers. It's like knowing how to navigate. Some people know how to drive in the rain. Some people know how to drive in the snow. Some people don't know how to drive at all and should just stay at home. Right. And so it's you know what I mean? It's like all cars aren't bad. It's just knowing how to navigate the roads, particularly for the environment that you're in. And so I'm here to help anyone that feels like they want a little bit of assistance, do that. A bad dating experience is really anything that has you feeling unsafe, anything that has you feeling self-doubt that wasn't there before, anything that has you feeling just sort of angry or like, ugh.
Okay.
Yeah, but putting out part of the energy that you put out plays a role into that as well.
Know.
See, you already. Mm-hmm.
I know, but I think for so many women, and you can definitely relate to this, you are married.
Yes.
As a successful woman, as a woman who is established, so many of us are having issues finding men that want women that are strong, that are established. How do you navigate that though?
So it does exist. Like there are guys who look as a matchmaker too. So what's cool about my job is, yes, I work with Tinder, and I get to see a lot of data around.
Right.
That doesn't care about our feelings. And what I mean by that is like when people say, oh, it's the hookup app, I get to see the data that says actually, no, it's not. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But as a matchmaker, I also get to hear people's stories. So I've interviewed thousands of people who are having challenges in dating and they come from a variety of different perspectives. So some of them have been in successful relationships and, you know, maybe they're widowed or widowers. Some of them have never dated before. Some of them had heartbreak, you know, so they all have their different experiences. And what I can tell you, I always ask, like, what are your must-haves and deal breakers? And when it comes to men, emotionally intelligent men, not all of them are that.
That is what we're after.
Yes, not all of them are that.
Well, that's what I think. That's what the girls say that they're after.
Right. And some are, and some say that they're,
right. The two are different, yes.
Mm-hmm. But emotionally intelligent men, oftentimes what I hear is, I think sometimes as women, okay, ride with me here. I'm going to try and like narrow it down as easy as possible. But so here's the thing. As women, we want to feel safe, special, and sexy, right? Those are the three categories. There's a lot of things that play into that. oftentimes us wanting a guy who is accomplished in his career, whatever that looks like to you, is actually just reinforcing our feeling of safety because it means we can trust his decision-making abilities and we like respect that. That feels safe to us because safety isn't just physical safety.
Of course.
It's like mental, emotional. Can I trust this person? Men don't need the same things from their women. So a lot of times as successful women, we go into the date thinking, and we do this in life. We do it with friendships.
Of course.
We do it with whatever. We buy someone a gift that we would want, but
Yes.
like they don't necessarily want. If I got my husband a Sephora gift card, he'd be like, babe,
Are you okay?
Yeah, he'd be like, I appreciate you, but I know you bought this for yourself. The same is true with dating. And so while we like a man up front to kind of lead with, all right, here's how I make decisions. Here's how I lead. This is what I'm doing with my career. He doesn't care about that in the same way. A guy is saying, am I attracted to her? Do I have fun with her? Do I respect her? Do we want the same things? It's those four things. And so the respect piece is just, has she found her joy? Period. Your joy could be your job. Amazing. But then it doesn't become a conversation of, I run this, I'm the boss this. It becomes, I love that I get to do this. This is a project I'm working on and I'm so excited about it because I've always wanted or I really enjoy. Or maybe it's not your job. Maybe your job is just your job so that you can do this hop. Maybe you've picked up slam poetry or whatever. Like, and you're like, yeah, I work here. It's really cool. But what I really love, like leading with that fact that you found your joy and what that is such an attractive quality. And that is the equivalent to men as him saying to us, I am established in my career.
Lead with joy.
Lead with what you found joy. And if you're still searching for your joy, that's okay too. Being transparent about that, being like, so I have a cooking class tonight I'm trying because I want to see if I'm gonna be good at that, and I have a vocal lesson I'm trying tomorrow.
Right.
Like even that, because for an emotionally intelligent guy that's got a lot going for him, it means that he's not gonna be solely responsible for your happiness. It also means that it is the best embodiment of self-love and what self-love is. Self-love doesn't mean always putting up with your own BS. Self-love means pouring into yourself so that you can continue to grow, pouring into that your little girl version of you or that younger person version. So that's exploring hobbies or finding your joy, or if you're fortunate enough to work in a field that is your joy, letting that be the narrative, not I make X amount and I have this many people under me, but rather I love doing what I get to do.
So how do you sniff out an emotionally intelligent man?
So good question. So one, on Tinder, so this is a way to like utilize the apps for it. So they rolled out a new feature that is for their serious daters only. So basically it's a little tile. It's a little tile feature. Good question. I don't actually know. So edit this part out. I don't remember.
Okay.
I will say this though about paid features, because I've had this conversation before. Look, when you go to Costco and you're really hungry, yes, you can eat the free samples, but if you really are hungry and you really want to have your option, you should probably just pay for a meal or go buy the $1.99 hot dog.
Agreed.
The same is true with the apps. Like, and you have to do it for a long time. You don't have to sign up for a year. But truthfully, you get like, if you're really investing yourself, you can forego one DoorDash, one Uber Eats night a week or whatever to pay for the elevated experience on the apps, because a part of the features you're paying for is saving you time. Because a lot of times what happens with the paid features, not only does it boost your profile so that it can be seen by more people, but it gives you more selectivity and the ability to kind of filter how you want to do that. So I always recommend it. For example, Tinder's passport feature for all my friends that love to travel. And maybe you feel like you've dated in your community, you've been there, done that, haven't found a person. The passport feature, you can actually set your location to maybe somewhere you have an upcoming trip, maybe a place you've considered moving.
Yes.
And that passport feature, it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
Before I met my husband, I was talking to this really cute dude who lived in London. Now he happened to be from my home state, so we bonded over that.
I talked on the podcast that I was going to change my location to London.
Yeah. I love a good accent.
Me too.
I do.
And I'd said, now the Brits didn't necessarily agree. I was like, I think they're taller over there too.
I don't know about that.
I know all the British girls were like, are they taller?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if they are tall.
I don't know that that's true.
I think I'm watching too much Love Island, and they are tall on Love Island.
Girl, that's its own subset of the population. Shout out to Love Island. But yeah, so it's worth considering. Look, you don't have to have paid features to find success.
Okay.
But certainly if you feel like you've been there and done that and you're really serious about making something happen, then I'd at least say invest in it for a month or two. Try it out. But back to your question too about how you sniff out emotional intelligence. So the feature I was telling you about for the serious daters on Tinder, so basically when you open up Tinder now, you can go to a section where you'll see these different little tiles, we call them, which are almost like, think of it like the top of a stack of cards. So you click on it and then profiles will come up. Like you can go through different types of profiles. And so when you click on that tile, it's serious daters only. So to qualify to be in that, you have to have set your relationship preference, like what you are looking for as a serious long-term relationship, because Tinder knows dating's not one size fits all. So you can actually put that you don't know what you're looking for. You can put that you're open to short term, you just want to have fun, or you can put you're looking for marriage long term. So you have to have that. You have to have your bio filled out. You have to have at least 4 photos. Time. You have to have invested time. And so whether or not you're utilizing that feature on Tinder or not, in general, on whatever app you're on, you should be looking for someone who has at least 4 photos. Not car selfies that are blurry, but everybody has a
Men
smartphone
love
now.
Car selfies.
They do. It's a thing. It's weird.
They're right here.
So close. It's so close. They really
like
they struggle.
Boomers.
They struggle.
What is happening?
They really do struggle. That and then also bio. If they couldn't take the time, and something so important. Now it doesn't need to be a soliloquy. No one needs to know your life story.
Right.
But they should have put something to where you get a glimpse of them. If they haven't, then that's an automatic no-go.
Well, because for example, I know a lot of men in the wild who claim that they're ready for something serious.
Yes.
And what I'm finding, because I'm 30, a lot of these men are just financially in a place where now they're like, well, I guess the next thing to do is marry somebody. That does not mean that they are emotionally intelligent. What are some, I don't want to say phrases, but what are some behaviors that you could look out for that might allude that perhaps he's emotionally intelligent?
Self-awareness and intentionality. Self-awareness is the ability to just be mindful and thoughtful about how he moves. So when he calls you, he's not calling you at 11 p.m. because he's aware that that's kind of inappropriate. That's probably a little late for it. Unless you guys have already established that track.
Of course, then it's right.
So he's like, I'm going to call you at 8. He follows through. So that intentionality. He's not trying to pen pal you for 6.5 years. This is not locked up abroad. This is not love after lockup. We talk for a little bit and then we were going to pivot to meet in person. Now we explain why.
That is my show.
Now it explains why.
I love it. I would never pin a prisoner, but it is chaos every season. But yes, okay, so I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So, and shout out to any prisoners that see this. Sometimes
we're not trying.
I get emails from them sometimes because they see like reruns of the Wendy show. I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess there's something where you can
they don't see very cute girls often in there.
Yeah, no. So appreciate you if you're watching. Just, but you intentionality. So it's like, okay, you've communicated for a little while. He should be making plans, being like, okay, I'd love to see you. I'd love to take you out. And then he should be consistent following through on that. You should not have to carry the load to make the date happen. If you're carrying the load, that is an indicator of likely what it's going to be, but even worse as things progress with that person. So I'd cut it off.
So it's good that you brought up the pen pal thing.
Yes.
That is the true epidemic.
Yeah.
For what? Like, and I know that, I guess, but I think me and so many of my friends are just confused by it. Like, we're not trying to entertain it. We're not going to entertain pen pals, but we cannot fathom why so many men want to text or message you.
Because it's meeting a need of connection. So we all have 6 human needs. One of them is connection, and you can meet each of your needs in a variety of ways. And sometimes just talk. Have you ever been on the phone with like your best friend or something, and you guys aren't even really talking? Maybe you're watching a show, but you're just like there.
On face, yes.
Yeah, you're just on FaceTime. I used to clean my room with my best friend because we live in and like she just like be on. This is back when Skype was a thing. She like be on Skype. It's still a form of connection.
Okay.
And yes, I agree with you. It doesn't make sense. Like it feels like there's such a waste.
You feel like what's happening,
but it's also a safe space because they're not risking rejection. They're not putting a big investment in. They don't have to do anything. But the way that you cut that out quickly is like if you're on the apps and you're chatting. After a couple of days of that, and it depends on the cadence of how you're communicating, meaning if you're having a real-time chat, so you swipe, and you guys match and you're now texting right then, then you only really need to talk that day before you make the pivot. And I'm gonna tell you how to pivot in a minute. If you swipe, and maybe you check your messages today and you realize, oh, I happen to match with this guy now, you message, he responds back tomorrow, then you can give it a few days because there's a little bit of like a wiggle room of like conversation. But after that, the pivot is the next time he messages you and asks you something, it could be, how's your day? It could be continuing whatever conversation you guys are talking about. You could be like, oh my God, I have such a funny story about that. I'm happy to tell you on the phone. I'm not on here often. Give me a call. Here's my number. Pivot. And yes, make them call you. I know that sounds like it's from 1952, but I am telling you, if he can't make the effort to call you, he's not going to make the effort for anything else. Also, if you hear his voice and within 30 seconds you want to vomit and or throw the phone across the room, wouldn't you rather know that in the sanctity of your home than being dressed up, cute, smelling good, put on the good perfume, and now you're sitting across from him and you're like, ooh, get away from me. A phone call. And it doesn't need to be an hour long. It's really just a test. Just like when you go out to eat with him, especially if he's the one who invited you on the date, or if you go out to say coffee or drinks or something, even if you're not really hungry, if they serve food, order some food, see how he reacts. Just a little bit. Don't order the most expensive thing on the menu. Don't be that person. But order just to see how he reacts. Now, always go with your own money. Like, always go prepared.
Absolutely.
But order and see how he reacts. Because if he goes, oh, well, I've already eaten, but go ahead and get something for yourself. Great. That means he cares about your well-being.
Of course.
If he's like, yeah, I could eat too, I'd love to. Great. It means he's saying he wants to invest in more time with you and share a meal. But if he's like, oh, no, I'm good, you get something, and then that bill comes and he's like, oh, you got it. You have learned everything you need to know about that person.
Absolutely.
In a way that he would have never just told you up front. Because in his mind, he may say, well, I'm paying for the drinks, but I didn't eat, so you're getting the food. That still tells you everything that you need to know.
When it's interesting that you brought up the coffee thing, because I might be on the less popular opinion side of this.
Yeah.
I'm for the coffee. It's low commitment and I can get up and leave. But some women are so anti-coffee dating.
I'm not a fan of coffee dates.
Mine is like the commitment piece. I'm like.
And is that a part of a bigger problem, Kingdra?
Well, so here's the thing. My thing is like, if the date, I've been on bad dates.
Yes.
So my thing, dinner is a commitment.
Yes. So this is what I would recommend if that's, but here's the thing. That's part of why the phone call is so important.
I agree.
Because if you can't, because look at it this way, when you go on a date, even if you're not like super thrilled, if you've done the phone call stage, you look at it like this. Best case scenario, I meet my person. Worst case scenario, I'm going to have a conversation with someone I already found interesting because I've already talked to him. And we're going to go to this place that we get to try, right?
Okay.
But if you skip that stage, then now you're going in fully blind. And yeah, you may end up being like, we have nothing to talk about, or he said something absolutely crazy within the first 10 minutes, and you could have sussed that out back then. Now, you don't have to, dinner dates actually aren't ideal either. Studies suggest that activity dates are best.
Okay.
What I recommend, and for any guys listening, here's how you really pull it off. You do a layered date. So if you're going to do coffee or something like low level to start, or even say drinks, then go to drinks, but have a reservation at a good restaurant nearby, ready and waiting. So if drinks are going well, you can be like, oh, are you hungry? And then blah, blah, blah. Now that's what he should do. Intentional and having like layers. But if drinks don't go well, then you can just be like, okay, we got a drink. Like, that was fun. It was nice to meet you.
Oh,
and then you both dip out. Same with an activity date. The activity date, the reason why that's great to do, and feel free to recommend that to a guy that's asking you out. The reason why an activity date is great is because a part of what makes dates so awkward, think about any job interview you've gone to. Like, it's never fully comfortable. Like, it just isn't, unless you are like applying to work for your Aunt Cookie. Like, it's not.
I do agree.
It's not that comfortable. Well, when you're at a dinner date and you're sitting across from each other at the table, you're trying to have a conversation and the waiter keeps awkwardly interrupting you. Like, it's just weird. When you have an activity, you have something else to mutually focus on together, even if you're bad at it. So even if it's a painting class and you both suck, doesn't matter. I went with my husband. We did a blindfolded sculpture class. No, I think this was probably like third or fourth date.
Okay.
Those sculptures look crazy as hell. But it was fun. We could talk and we weren't focused on just like, hey, hi. It was like we're doing something we can laugh about the thing. We're creating a memory together. And relationships, even friendships, are just a collection of shared experiences and memories. So and look for that too when you're swiping through like bios, for example. That's why them having a bio, that's why their photos on, Tinder are important, because look to pull things that you see them doing that you can connect to. Like, oh, he's at this music festival. I love music festival. You know, like, so something to talk about. Maybe it's an activity to do together. Or, oh, he's at the barbecue. Hopefully he's not wearing those uncle sandals we know what you're talking about when they're at the barbecue. If he is, know that you can change that. Please don't veto dudes.
That's what I've been telling people.
You can change that.
And it is crazy coming from me, but I have so many friends that are like, oh, he can't dress. Babes, that with all that we have dealing with men, that is what you're focused on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've changed so much of my husband's wardrobe. But also, I'd argue, now look, we love a man that can dress. Shout out to Coleman Domingo.
Absolutely.
We love an Idris Elba. We love it. But I'd argue in most instances it's actually better for a man who's a little open on his style, because a dude who thinks he can dress, even if he can, oftentimes there'll be at least one or two things that you just hate. And if he thinks he's the best,
put that shit on. Yes.
And then now you got to like live with it. Whereas if they're a little bit more like, my husband had a style, but he's a little more like, he's like, oh, okay. So now it's shifted. It's still his style, but it's shifted as I've introduced things. He's a little more open.
You don't want to know it all.
Yeah.
So I do have a question, because you talked about you don't want to be at dinner and he says something crazy in the first 10 minutes. Yeah. Right now, I think that is incredibly prevalent. People have been asking, why are you, what is another reason you're dreading this date? Because how am I going to bring up in the first 10 minutes? I need to know if you voted and who you voted for and if you're vaccinated.
That's why you talk about that on a phone call.
I know.
I don't see, this is what
you're like, I'm not even making it to dinner with a man to have to ask that.
Like, it's like, yeah. I mean, it's literally the easiest thing, and it's free. Like, it's the easy, suss that out on a phone call. Because think of how just uncomfortable. Uber fares are expensive. You're wasting on a phone call. You have unlimited data. All plans are pretty much unlimited now. Like, it's just such a better investment to do it on the phone call. And if you lose him, even if you were really looking forward to like seeing that person, so you're like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat.
Right.
It's going to get rocked. Rock it now.
You have to rock it.
So rock it now while you're still on ground in your comfy PJs.
Yep.
Now, the only time I'd say maybe not is, look, if you really wanted to go to that restaurant and you can stomach that conversation
and you
were already dressed anyway, then maybe roll up, fine. But in general, I'll also say this too, going back to the successful women, right? So dudes, remember, part of the thing they want is they want a woman they respect, right? They want to have fun with you, but they want to respect you as well. Him having to put in a little work, not crazy amounts of like, ooh, I'm too good to go to the Cheesecake Factory. That's ridiculous. But put in a little bit of work, he respects that. So you have him having, you being like, sorry, I don't go, like, I'd love to go out with you, but I don't go on dates with anyone I haven't spoken to on the phone with first. Great. So now he's looking at you as the boss woman you want to be respected for, not because you kept saying I'm the boss woman of my job, but simply because it's like, oh,
you require
she has standards, but that are realistic and reasonable standards.
So what is the time frame from the time that you first connect with a man to the time that he needs to ask you on a first date?
So that varies. I think if he lives in the city or you guys are in the same vicinity, you guys should be ideally I'd say within the first week, you guys should be on a phone conversation within the first couple of weeks, ideally, unless, again, there's certain circumstances, maybe he's traveling for work, you're traveling for work, like a little bit, fine. And then certainly meeting within the first month. Like,
seems long.
And if he, I mean, the sooner the better, but I'm trying to give for like some busy people, like, I mean, I'm no longer single, but if I was the past 2 months, I was just good luck, you know? So, or like some of our friends.
That's true,
Sometimes you try to coordinate to get together with your friends. And I have friends I have to book 3 months out. Because so.
They're busy too.
Yeah, so you can give it a little grace there. But I would say if you feel like occasionally he might be just a little nervous to ask you out. Men are still human too. And if that's the case and you feel like you're talking a lot, so the same way we talked about pivoting from the app, right? Which is like, oh, I'm not on here often. Give me a call. You know, oh, I'd love to tell you about the story of blah. Let's do it on a phone date. And you can even call it a phone date. So it sounds a little bit like more special. You can pivot to an in-person date. So say you're now texting on the phone. Maybe you've even had a phone date, but he hasn't asked you out, which he should if you had the phone date.
Like, what has happened?
But if he hasn't and he still texts you, you'd be like, oh, that's great. Whatever shared interest you guys have. So maybe you're like, oh, I heard about this new restaurant, coming out. I think I'm going to go try it sometime. You know, let me know if you want to take me out. Like, you can sort of playfully put it in there and then cut off, like pull back on the communication. Because if you keep the same level of communication,
it implies
he's just playing game, that he doesn't have to do anything. Pull back on it, and then he should take the lead. Like, make steps to make it happen. Be like, okay, great, let's go to that restaurant or let's do that thing. If he doesn't do that and he keeps giving you good morning, sunrise, and all that nonsense, drop it.
So speaking of, because women, we're told a lot more to initiate conversation.
Yes.
Right? It's not as cliche. I have so many friends who have met their men because they initiated. It's not as cliche.
Be the chooser.
However, so often, me and my friends find ourselves out in public places and men just stare. They will stare all night. Mm-hmm. Some are so audacious as to DM you on social media a day, 2 days later. Hey, I think I saw you last. No, you saw me. Let's say a man is staring at you all night long.
Smile, make eye contact. If you don't feel uncomfortable, smile, make eye contact, hold it for a little bit, see if he smiles back. That should warm him up. If it doesn't, you still think he's cute and you don't feel uncomfortable, go up to him and say hi. One time it was a Super Bowl party. This is back in my college days.
That's a good place to
I was a little wild. It can be, but it also,
in college, I don't know.
I saw a cute guy across the room. I didn't know who he was. And I had these bootleg business cards at the time, you guys. I mean, bootleg. Like, it was they had my picture on them. But I literally...
You've always been fab.
I walked across the room and was like, hi, I'm Devyn. Give me a call. And actually didn't even have my number on it because I didn't want everybody to have my number. Back then I had my email address. That's how crazy it was. I just handed him my card and turned around and walked away.
Did he email you?
Absolutely, he emailed me.
I have heard that men do like us. It's so interesting because we see all these social media conversations, and there's so much discourse on social media, which I think we often find, my friends always joke, like, people who make money and understand currency don't have the 50-50 conversations.
Oh, no.
That's not, me and my friends don't sit and have 50-50 conversation. That's weird. Like,
I feel like if you like, communicating about money is important.
Absolutely.
Once you're in a relationship, I think, sure, this goes back to old school. This is for people who typically like traditional hetero relationships. Because again, dating is not one size fits all.
It's not.
And, even on Tinder, we found a certain amount of people who said they're open to kind of taking it as it goes and exploring. Like, you can really make your relationship what you want it to be.
Of course.
So consider that before considering this advice. But in general, a man does want to, especially if you're an accomplished woman, he wants to feel like he can provide for you.
Yes.
And women, we don't necessarily need it in the same way anymore because we do have great careers and we're doing things. And so the way he's getting creative in how he's looking that he can provide. So it might be buying you dinner. It might be opening the car door. It might be getting you flowers. I think my husband's, he's so gracious, but I think he's mildly annoyed because he does get me flowers a lot. But then I got on this flower subscription service recently. And so he's like, who's sending you flowers? I'm like, me.
Right. And he's like, but that was what I did for you.
Yeah. So I was thinking like, I might need to tell him like, babe, but your flowers are so much prettier, just so he feels like he can keep sending them. But yeah, so he should, the 50-50 on a date for me, the only way, unless you just never want to talk to that person again. Like, if you were like, this date was so bad.
I have had a date that was so bad where I pulled out my card.
Yeah, and you're just like,
let's go Dutch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you then fine.
Yes.
But also, when he does pay dinner for you, and you know this, but anyone listening, like, you owe him nothing.
Yes.
Like, just because he took you to that restaurant, just so you took it, you owe him, aside from being just gracious and polite,
of course,
you owe him nothing.
Well, speaking of the owing something, because we know what the owing is. As a relationship expert, have you seen, because I have friends that had sex on the first date, they've been together for years. I know people married sex on the first date. Is there really, at this point in time, even a rule around when to have sex?
So if I were to simplify, look, I think most people can't get away with that. And this is why.
Okay.
But it can work. Most people can't get away with that. Because if everyone was being just ridiculously honest, like excruciatingly honest with themselves, a lot of people who end up having sex on the first date or in the second date or even the third date, sure, they want to do it, but there's a part of them doing it because of what they feel like the other person expects and or wants from them.
Okay.
And people can sense that subconsciously. And so it falls apart because the minute that entanglement happens, there becomes kind of there can become a power imbalance or like an emotional imbalance where now you start questioning, are they really into me? Did they switch up? Whereas if you're having sex just because you really wanted to have sex that day, then you don't really change after you had sex. So you're able to keep moving the same way and the relationship can continue to progress at the same rate that it would have had you not. And I think there are people who say, oh yeah, I really want to hook up. But if like you hooked up and then you're mad that they didn't call you back at the exact hour. No, part of you did that with a certain expectation of the other person that wasn't communicated. So if you can do it without expectation, then sure. But, you know, my husband was actually the only guy that I'd seriously dated where, like, so before I used to say, communicate. So if you want to be more traditional, I'd say upfront on the first 2 dates that I don't really have sex outside of a relationship. For me, I enjoy it better when I'm in a committed relationship. Okay. Which was true for me. Right. But it also meant that they knew what the next step was. Right.
Like so they could opt in or they could opt out.
Exactly. You could opt in or you could opt out. And it worked. This time when I met my now husband, I had come out of a very serious relationship. And in being honest with myself, I was like, I don't actually know that I want a serious relationship yet. Like, I don't know where I am yet. So I'm not going to put that out there because quite frankly, I don't even know. So when we did finally have sex, which I think was after like 34th date.
That seems to be
for me though, it was a time I was finally at a place where I could really have it. I had it with no expectation. Right. So he was the one that was like saying, I love you after date 4. I was the one that was still like, all right. So yeah, you have to just be really honest with yourself. And I think most people aren't in a place where they can say, when it's with a new person especially, because usually you're excited about them, you want to see the potential, that they're just having sex because with no expectation of where that may lead.
How can you tell? Are there ways, and I think now, you know, these are more mature daters, so I think that there are ways to fish it out. How can you sniff out a man who's just trying to bone?
He's going to put in as least effort as possible. He's not going to want to call you. He's going to be inconsistent. He's going to say, oh, I'm going to talk to you. I'll message you at this time, but he doesn't. He's going to go quiet for days at a time. Yeah. He's going to recommend a restaurant that's half a block from his house.
I had a date like that, and I did not realize until we got to the date, and he was like, yeah, I live around the corner.
Yeah. I
was like, oh, no, sir.
You know, he's going to, the minute that you show that you have any level of requirement, he's gonna kind of dip out or not. That's why the phone call. And I swear I don't work for Verizon, but really, like, it helps just alleviate a lot. Now, not everyone gets filtered. Like, you can still end up getting someone dumb, but it will help significantly. Like, when I started implementing that, and I have my clients implement that too, it just cuts down on, sure, you may have dates where it's not the one, but it will significantly cut down on dates where you're just like, that was the worst thing that ever happened. It'll cut down on that.
And I'm happy that you mentioned your clients because there's lots of coaches now. There is femininity coaches, which is now the girls are like, what the hell? Y'all are paying for femininity coaches? That to me is crazy. But matchmakers versus dating coaches.
Yes.
When do you know which you need? And when do you suggest each?
I'd say oftentimes a matchmaker can or does both. So like I started as a date coach, which was first helping other people utilize their resources and tools to choose better, to make progress in their dates, to get a better understanding of what they're looking like. It's literally like it's your coach, but it's like your cheerleader. It's your support system. It's your sounding board. I've had many clients say it's like therapy. I always say, sure, it's like therapy, but I can't help you with, mama, brother trauma. I can't, we're not qualified for that. But with your love life, because as a date coach, I'm going to take an analysis of your entire love history.
Of course.
Not just where you are now, because I want to help you identify the patterns and the things that haven't been serving you. Maybe they served you once upon a time, but they're not now. Especially too, because dating is different now. And I think if you ever have friends who've been in long-term relationships and they're trying to give you advice on dating, or even like family members, it's not always helpful. It's like, yes, evolving. Auntie Mabel. It's like,
it keeps evolving.
It's not even the same as it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
Like it changes so much. So a coach is going to help you with that. A matchmaker is taking it. They're usually more expensive. It's more of an investment, but that's because the matchmaker has a significant database or network in which they're going to pull. They're not only going to help you identify what matters most for you, like your must-haves, deal breakers. They're going to hand select for you, which allows you to open up your opportunity and potentially meet people that you wouldn't be with otherwise. Now, something that's kind of interesting as a hybrid feature is Tinder has a matchmaking feature now. So you can actually, so you can actually have your friends and or family members have access in a certain regard to your profile to select people for you. Now, they're not going on the date for you.
Fun,
they're not.
It's interactive.
It's definitely fun and interactive. But again, sometimes we're too close to it, right? Like sometimes we can only see what we can see. And it just takes someone who knows us that's just over here to go, okay, I know you really want X, Y, and Z, but I know that you also need someone like this, and they make a recommendation for you. So it's a really fun feature to try out.
So I'm happy actually that you said that. I recently came across a TikTok that I sent to all my married friends as well as my mom. And it was a woman talking, and she was like, go on the date with the man that you're not attracted to.
Okay.
She added tons of nuance because that, she throws out the punchy line.
Wait, is that the thing that the woman says she's not attracted to her husband?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't fully watch the video, but it came up in my feed today where she said she's not wasn't
She was
attracted
like,
to her
she wasn't attracted to her husband. And her husband is very handsome. People found him and were like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And she basically elaborated and said what she meant was, and she was very specific. At the time, I was only dating super tall, light-skinned men. She was like, who were super into fashion, super into themselves. She met a dark-skinned, blue-collar man who has given her the best life that she could ever imagine. And I will say that a lot of women that I know that are happy and well taken care of, it is the same thing.
What do you mean that they?
So I have one friend who met her partner on Hinge. I remember the exact day she went on the date. She was like, he's not even that cute. I'm just going to go on the date. They likely will be engaged this year. I have another friend. We were like, girl, you can play with him. You can play with him. Blue collar worker. He is such a good man, a provider, like all of the things. So how much do you encourage women like, sis, what you think you want might not be what you want?
This is why must-haves are so important, and not the long list of crazy-ass must-haves that people put out, okay? It's about the core of the person. Look at where we are in the state of the world today. Like, let's just be real.
It's burning.
If it all goes to hell, who's the personality that you are going to run this race with? That you can be locked down. Think about COVID lockdown. That actually, we saw a lot of people really self-evaluate then.
They didn't like it. They did not like their partners.
Yeah, it's like, who do you want? Who puts your nervous system at ease? That's what you need to be looking for. Who's not triggering your fight or flight? The butterflies thing, that is literally your nervous system saying, this feels a little uneasy. Who is the one that you feel like my husband has like, I kind of laugh because when we travel, go to town, we'll talk on the phone for hours. You would think that we don't see each other every day. We were talking last night for 2.5 hours, and I just went in the bedroom to like get something, and then I was gonna go back in the living room and do some work. And next thing I know, it's 11 o'clock
because we were just talking. You all like each other.
Yeah, because we were just talking about different stuff and laughing. And did you see this? And like, that is the core. It's do you guys share a vision in terms of the kind of life that you want?
Of course.
So I understand wanting someone already like accomplished or a white collar worker or whatever else. But if he's blue collar, but his idea of what life should look like is, I want to provide for my person. I want us to live in this town, city, whatever. Like, I want our kids to be able to do X, Y, and Z. If you guys are aligned on that, great. Because you could date the rich dude, but who's like, I want.
And I've done that.
Yeah, you could date a Nick Cannon. No comment. So like.
But yes.
So that's important. And then also, so it's shared vision, shared values, and then complementary capabilities. So like, where are the things that you feel like he makes you better, and where can you add value to him? I think sometimes too, we get so in our own, so self-centered that we're looking at what can he do for me? What can he add for me? And like, yes, that's important, but you also want to say, how do I feel when I'm around him? And you also want to say, and what things can I do to add to his life and add to his joy?
And I think this also segues into my next point. You're married to a non-Black man.
Yes.
Black women I think collectively are realizing that if we want the love that we say we're after, we might have to cast that net a bit wider.
It's just, look, it's solely a numbers thing. Like, there are beautiful, intelligent, wonderful, exceptional Black men. And I love my husband, very much so. But if it had a line that I met, like, I was just as open to meeting, and there were Black men I went on dates with that were great. There were Black men, some that I was into that weren't into me. And then there were some that were into me. I wasn't into them. But I will say, from a statistic standpoint, there are more educated Black women in America, accomplished Black women, than there are men, and that's not even necessarily a product of being the Black men's fault. Like, it's also a product of a system that was designed that way. There's a whole layers of that. But if you're looking at it from numbers, like, imagine we laid out some, M&Ms on the table, and you wanted to get the yellow ones. At a certain point, but if I dump a bag of red ones, at a certain point, there's only so many yellow. Yeah. Like, and you can't, like, there just is. And some of them might have the little peanut inside versus the big, peanut M&M. It's just not great.
It varies.
So it varies. So for me, Black love is any Black person being loved the way in which they deserve to be loved. And I get that that's not everyone's view, and that's totally okay. But I would much rather see a Black woman, a Black man be fully loved, whether it be by another Black woman, man, whatever, or someone of another ethnicity, then settle because on paper it looks good and they come from the same background. Right. But, her husband or his partner's out there cheating, not communicating, yelling, all of that other stuff. So I say cast that. It doesn't mean you have to forego going for Black men, but I would say if you feel like, and this is really kind of true in any point, to your point about the height, it's the same thing about height. Yeah. If you've only been dating 6'3" and above, fun fact, statistics will tell you. And
it's like 5%. My friend said today, only like 5 to 10% of men are over 6 feet.
Well, so 14% of men are over 6 feet in America, but that's not including whether or not they're single, whether or not they're straight, whether or not they are into you,
So
whether or
then
not
we're at about
once you start
5%.
doing education level, that number drops down even more.
Right.
Once you start doing like careers to how successful, that number drops down even more. And then you throw in personality disorders. So, and what people will tell me is they'll be like, well, all my exes were over 6 foot. Cool. And they're all your exes. So opening it up, it doesn't mean you have to ignore all 6 feet guys, but it means be open if that 5'8" guy or that 5'6" guy or whatever comes along and you think he's great otherwise, you like his personality, you're fun, be open to that. Because at the end of the day, people don't get divorced over height. People, when they're on their deathbed, they don't go, oh, I wish grandpa wore better socks. Like, it's like, who was riding for me? When the world got crazy and threw curveballs, who was the person that was in my corner? Because we know the world is going to throw you curveballs. You really want someone that's going to do that. Now, let's talk about your date.
Please.
I am excited for you.
Yes.
I'm excited about it. And I'm excited in what you've told me so far about the intentionality.
He seems very intentional.
Yes.
I think.
Because how long have you guys been
So we didn't meet on an app.
Okay.
We're being set up by mutual friends. So we do know what each other looks like. Yep. And he just immediately the first day, within actually the first 4 text messages, was like, so when can we
love that? Go on a date? Business.
I should have asked for a phone call because now I do have to sit there and ask those uncomfortable questions.
But now you know in the future.
Immediately. But I am curious, I am someone who is, I know that they say we need to have more fun with dating, absolutely. But I am someone who is actively seeking out a husband and create a family. That is where I'm at in my life. What are the questions that I should ask on a first date? And when is it like, don't lay it on too heavy? What questions are you like, it's first date, don't lay it on too heavy? That's if we get past the first 3. Yeah. Did you vote? Yeah. Who'd you vote for and are you vaccinated?
Yeah, absolutely. And real talk, if you want to, it sounds like he's playing something interesting. So
yeah, guys, he won't tell me where the date is.
Yeah, it's really cute. He
said he's going to tell me an hour before because he asked proximity-wise where I would be.
Right. Also thoughtful and intentional. So and he asked your dietary.
He has my dietary restrictions.
See, those are the clues. Those are the signs of someone who's being. It doesn't mean he's the love of your life. We don't know. Neither of you will know until you sit down and together. Right. By the way, you may not even know on the first date or the second date or the third date.
I need to get better with that because you mentioned the butterflies. I am the girl that's like, there was no spark.
Girl, no.
There was no spark.
No. Although my husband will make fun of me because he asked me out on a second date, and initially I said no to the second date, but I said let's hang out again because we had so much fun
but
talking.
It wasn't spark.
But it wasn't spark. But he took my let's hang out as I was just being polite. Like he thought I was just being nice, but that I didn't really want to.
Right.
And so he was just kind of like, oh, I get it. Like there's,
right.
But he ended the message with, I want you to know either way, I think you're incredible. And then fast forward 4 years later, we reconnected online during COVID, during lockdown, and hit it off and have been together ever
Was there
since.
spark the second time?
Or
were you just in a better place to receive such a...
Both. So the electric... Because there was always chemistry as far as communication goes.
Of course.
That was there the first time. It was probably magnified the second time. But I definitely think the second time I was just in a place of, I was dating for me. I was no longer conforming to fit in a box to appease anyone else. And I was so good in my own company, even in the lockdown. Like me and my dog, Brooklyn, shout out to Brooklyn, my little Yorkie.
What a cute name.
Thank you. But like we were so good Netflix and chilling on our own that even if the date was okay, if I felt like you couldn't appreciate me for fully me, I would cut it. I'd just be like, you know what? It was great meeting you. And
that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. And so having that
here.
energy I definitely think meant I was moving in a way that was so authentic to me and not trying to, is this going to this going to make us exclusive? It was really, and I verbalized that to him. I was very much in our second first date was 10 hours long, and our second date was 8 hours late, like the next day, basically on Valentine's Day. But the way that you can filter it out in the conversation is you could say, what are you really excited about this year? So that's like a warm-up question, a good lead in.
That's a good one.
What are you excited about? Should give you some insight. And then you could say, what are you really working towards in the next 3 years? Like, what do you want for yourself? And then you can share answers too, but just listen to how he talks. And if he says, even if it's like, oh, I want to be married with kids, you could be like, oh, really? Like, what does that look like to you? You can ask follow-up questions. And if he gives you answers that show he's clearly thought about it, right? Where he's like, I want a wife that is excited to travel together, or I want a wife who is passionate about her career, or I want a wife who wants to stay home, or I just want someone happy, whatever he says. But clearly he's thought about it versus, oh, I don't know, but I just, I want to be married. I'm gonna buy 6 houses. Like, have you seen the economy?
Oh my God.
Like he needs to show that he's really thought about it.
And what is too much? Like, what is it? When is it like, babes, we know you're serious.
When you want to get married? How many kids do you want to have? How soon would you propose to me? What was your ex-girlfriend like? Why didn't you ask her to marry? Why do you already have kids? Why? Like, that's interrogated.
Just peace.
Just peace. And because some of the answers the best answers you're gonna get aren't gonna come from what he says. It's how he reacts to some of the questions. But if you're drilling him with questions, no one reacts well to that. You wouldn't react well to that. I wouldn't react well to that.
It's an interrogation.
No one reacts well. So you're now like skewing the data, but just sitting in and watch and see how he lights up. Also, don't look for the man who wants to have kids. Look for the man who wants to be a father.
Absolutely.
Like the same way, look for a man who doesn't just want a girlfriend, but who wants to be a partner.
Right.
And is excited about that. And when you say, you're literally giving him an open canvas when you say, what are you excited about
this year?
What are you looking forward to?
When I told you he has a child.
Yep.
Which this would be my first date with a man with a kid. Yeah, my first date with a man who has a child. What are things you should look? I already know it's like, if you're not a good father, then we don't have anything to talk about here. What are questions maybe to feel that out? Because I guess, what are you excited about this year could be something to feel
what
that out.
What are you excited about?
It should include your child.
Is a great question. Just seeing how he talks about or incorporates his child in conversation. Does it sound like the kid never comes up and doesn't exist?
Right.
Or is it like, even when you're making plans, oh, next week I have my son or daughter or whatever. Or, oh, yeah, I'm taking my kid to Disney this summer. You know, what, like as they're talking about their plans or what they have coming up, they naturally integrate their kid because it means they're a part of their kid's life. That's wonderful.
Right.
That's lovely. If they absolutely never bring up the kid or they're like, oh, yeah, I got to go.
I'm not hiding my kid from the world.
Another thing that if you really want to do some digging, maybe like second date or third date is, depending on how old the kid is, you can ask the parent, what activities are they into? The kid, like, are they in Little League? Are they in ballet class? Are they in whatever? And so then when they tell you throughout the conversation, find out if they've gone to any of those Little League games or that ballet class or that, you know what I mean? Be like, so if they're like, oh yeah, my kid's really into sports right now, be like, oh cool, do they play? He might be like, oh yeah, I go out, we play basketball on weekends. Or if they're just like, no, I bought him a ball, like,
And they'll tell on themselves.
Yeah, they'll tell on themselves. Trust your intuition and your ability to suss things out. Like trust that. Trust it, don't force it. Forcing it is drilling of the questions. Trusting it is giving an open platter. What are you excited about?
Right.
What is your kid into? That's fun. And then just letting them listening.
Okay, I love these. So, of course, this show is called According to Blake, but today, since you are here, it's According to Devyn. So these are the 3 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
According to Devyn, how long do you let a man date you before he makes you his girlfriend?
Oof.
I know that's a loaded question.
I mean, I know it's a rapid fire question, but I'll just tell you this. I sent my now husband a mock-up that I did of Apple stock, and I changed it to put my name, and I was like, this is the best. You better get on this early because like early shares in Apple, this is the best investment you'll ever made. And I texted it to him. He thought I was crazy, I'm sure, but the kind of crazy he likes because he married it. So basically, when you know your worth, I would expect... For me personally, I would expect a man to be trying to go exclusive and in a committed relationship within the first 30 to 45 days. However, ask yourself if that's what you really want.
Right.
Because you can get so focused on that goal and that title without assessing how do you actually feel about this person, and maybe it may be that you need more time to get to know him to decide that you want to go that route. So I wouldn't get super focused on that. If anything, what I'd get focused on is when you are in a serious relationship, if you both have said at the beginning, you value marriage. Yeah. And that's the thing you want. Don't. A man knows within 6 months to a year if the woman he's with is someone he would marry. Doesn't mean he'll propose in that time. There could be other things. Of course. But he knows within 6 months to a year, and he's going to start making plans towards that. Like he's going to start moving in accordance with that. Even if he has to save up to propose, for 3 or 4 years. And this doesn't apply when you're like in high school or just out of college. Like that's a little different. But if he's not, he is just playing with your time. He is just playing with your time. I'm telling you, it's why we all know someone who was in a relationship for years. And he was like,
and then he gets out the relationship and a month later he's engaged.
Yep, that's exactly why.
The placeholder, that's what they call it,
right?
Yeah, placeholder. Mm-hmm. So according to Devyn, what is the best way to get over dating fatigue?
The best way to get over dating fatigue is do something like treat yourself. It could literally be ordering that thing you've been eyeing on Uber Eats or whatever, but that you shouldn't have on a regular basis. Right. It could be if you want to save money, maybe it's not going to get your nails done, but setting up a little spa day in your home. Like do something that just brings you joy. Okay. Because that's such a good exercise anyway for in a relationship. Like you need to have certain things that you tap in to bring you joy. And then it'll just help boost your energy and your mood levels so that when you are filtering through some of the nonsense, because it is a numbers game, you won't feel depleted. Your cup won't be empty. It's basically pour into your own cup and then get back on the apps. And when you're on the apps, you do it in sessions. You don't need to be on it for 8 hours in a day. Be on it for 30 minutes. Once a day, 30 minutes. And then leave it.
According to Devyn, how much should you censor what is going on in your relationship to your friends and family?
Ooh, that's a good question. My view is that ultimately you guys are a team, right? And know that your friends and family won't forget and forgive in the same way that you do. Yeah. And looking at my husband, for example, as my partner, I just will never speak ill of him to anyone else, even my closest friends, even when he gets on my nerves. Like I might tell him he got on my nerves, but because we really are, we are united. We are going to ride this till the wheels fall off and then pick up a glue stick. So anytime you start going outside, unless it's like a licensed counselor or someone who is, specializes in supporting the two of you, anytime you go outside and you start dropping nuggets, even in the heat of the moment, you're literally inviting people to come sit in between the two of you. And that can be hard to control.
I'm happy that you mentioned therapy, just as we wrap this. I'm seeing a lot of non-married couples doing couples counseling. How do you think it's?
I think it's great.
Okay.
I think it's great. I think waiting to go to the doctor until you're sick is not necessarily the most effective method. Yeah. I don't think everyone has to do it, but I think you should be working on improving yourselves as individuals and as a couple always through all phases. And so, look, for some people, maybe that means just reading a book and or listening to a relationship podcast, a good relationship. Not everybody who has a podcast, not
defund
everybody.
mics, not for us,
literally, but
defund mics.
Yes, but a good trusted source one, maybe that's it, or maybe it's actually going to therapy. But I think it's a good thing because it goes back to that emotional intelligence. It's that intentionality of wanting to grow and do better as a couple.
Devyn, thank you so much. You've been such a wealth of information. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram. That's Devyn with a Y, Simone with an I. You can find me on TikTok, Devyn with a Y, Simone with an I. You can find me on Tinder, but only because I utilize the features to try them out. But you should certainly try it out if you feel like you still haven't found your person. There's a wealth of exceptional people there. It's just being consistent.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited for your date.
I'm gonna keep you posted.
Please do.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, guys.